Okay, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, as we know, we're in the summer, although the weather has changed to keep you guessing. And one of the things in summer, parents will know they have their children for 6 weeks, and they find it very difficult 6 weeks to have their children all the time, so used to having them only in the evenings because they go to school. So one of the things that you'll see, and probably many parents are already doing this here, is they'll put their children to summer schools, various summer schools, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Islamic summer schools, where they go and they learn certain adab, certain etiquettes, du'as, stories of the prophets, they sing nasheeds. In fact, my son this morning was singing Dalabru Badru Alayna very loudly to wake me up, so he obviously learned that. And the thing is, parents are very happy about this. Why are they happy? Because their children come back and they've learned a new dua, and they think, alhamdulillah, they're getting Islamic Tarbiyyah. Interestingly, I was having another conversation, and that was with slightly older children, maybe like the kind of near around teenager kind of age, 12, 13. And I was just checking relatives, do you know this dua? And nearly every single time the answer was, I used to know it, but I don't know it now. And then I spoke to the parents, and they said, yeah, my kids went through summer school for years when they were young, but now they're a bit older, they don't want to go to these things. And the thing is, what you have to understand as well, why is that dua being forgotten? Why is that not there? So when they were young, they learned these things. Why are they not keeping these things as they get older? The reason for that is that it's not a lived reality. You see, they can go to summer school and learn du'as. They can learn to be good and good manners and all the rest of it, but it's a theory. For that theory to become a reality, it has to be practiced, which is why they say that knowledge is just a key. It has to be acted upon. So why is it that we know, for example, many of us will know the kind of rules of salah, what breaks salah, wudu, because you're doing it all the time. It's a lived reality. Okay, so these du'as, yes, we're teaching our youngsters, but the real question is this going to continue into their adult life? And I've dealt with another case. I've dealt with cases before. Another case that wasn't too long ago, maybe it was after Ramadan, where a father came to me and said, I've got a problem with my 20-year-old child, or he's obviously an adult, that he doesn't believe in God anymore. Okay, so what's happening here? Why is it that they're sending them to summer school, sending them to all these places, but they're ending up in a situation like that? And that's because it's not lived reality. And it's only going to become a lived reality when it's practiced in the home. One of the things, interestingly, one of the brothers who was involved with us, we were involved in creating a curriculum for 11 to 16 years, Islamic studies curriculum. And he used to teach in an Islamic studies school, or Islamic school you could say, down in England for many years. And he said that on the parents' evening, when the children used to obviously pray salah in the school, but when he checked if they were praying in the home, he said that nearly all of the ones that prayed in the home was because the parents were praying, and all the ones who weren't praying in the home was because the parents were not praying. And this is the problem, that you can send your children, a lot of people have this attitude that if I send them to the mosque, evening classes, I've done my job. The mosque will give them tarbiyyah. I sent them to school, I've done my kind of worldly duty, they'll get secular knowledge. Okay, so if the mosque is going to give the Islamic knowledge, the school is going to give secular knowledge, what's your role? What are you there for? Just to provide food? Just to provide shelter? Right? That is not only of course that's a role. You have to provide for your family, but that is not enough. That is not enough. You have a responsibility to ensure that your child has the proper tarbiyyah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. That protect yourselves, or you believe protect yourselves and your families from the hellfire. Right? So protect them. How are you going to protect them? Teach them what's right and what's wrong, and then show them. Because we have this attitude that people come to and say, Shaykh, I want my child to have the best tajweed in the world. Who's the best qari? Because money's not a problem. I can pay money, but I want the best qari. I say, look, you can send them to get the best tutors, you can send them to the best qari. It doesn't matter what you do. If they come home and they find a different reality in the home, you undermine everything they've learned. Because if you say to them, don't lie, okay? So one of the wonderful things we teach our children in summer schools is don't lie. It's a kabira. It's a major sin, one of the worst major sins, to lie. And then they witness, they watch you as a parent lying. What are you teaching them? Yeah, it's important, but it's okay. A little bit's okay. That's what you're teaching them. So you're contradicting everything they're learning. And that's why they're learning all these things, but it's in one year, out the other year. You're telling them read salah and you don't read salah. That's hypocrisy, isn't it? That's nifaq. How can you tell them to pray, you don't pray yourself? So it's important for you, but it's not important for me. You tell them to read Quran. Have you read your Quran today? The first question you should ask yourself is, have you read Quran? You're telling them to read Quran. Have you read Quran? Right? How can you expect them to read Quran? They don't see you reading Quran. And you know yourselves, little children, when you pray, they start praying with you. They copy you. They're watching you. They're watching everything that you're doing. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. Every one of you is a shepherd and is responsible for his flock. And then it says, الرَّجُلُ رَاعٍ فِي أَهْلِهِ. That the man is responsible for his family. وَهُوَ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ. And he's responsible for his flock. And then it says, وَالْمَرْأَةُ, the woman, رَاعِيَةٌ فِي بَيْتِ زَوْجِهَا. She is the shepherd in the husband's house. In other words, running the house when he's absent with the children. وَمَسْئُولَةٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهَا. And also responsible for those under her command, the children. So we have to really think as parents of what example we're setting for our children. I was at a wedding recently, and we used to go to weddings when we were children, and we were, I'm sure, just as naughty as the children. And what did we do? We went outside, we ran about, we played with whatever it was. The good old days when people used to throw money and we used to collect money, but that's all gone now. Now I was sitting in the wedding, and the child was, making a lot of noise. So what does the parent do? And I'm sure you can all guess the answer. Gets the phone out, puts on some nonsense, and that's it. Wonderful parenting, isn't it? Get your phone out, give them something which you know is not good for them, right? Because it's easy. It's an easy fix. I tell you what, it's an easy fix in the early years, but see when they get older, this is where you have problems. People come to you when their child is 16, 17, he's not listening to me, I don't know where I've gone wrong, right? Where you've gone wrong is when you, soon as 2 years old and you're putting TV, the phone on and giving them nonsense input, that's where it was going wrong. So we have to really review how we're doing things, and it's not enough, by giving them designer clothes will not make their, the outwards good, but it won't make the heart good. You see, so giving them the best of everything materially will not enhance their inner, and that inner is what is important, because that's what is the making of a person. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, the best thing a father can give his child is what? PlayStation? It's good manners. The best thing a father... Now, the thing is, interestingly, how can you give good manners if you're bad-mannered yourself? It doesn't work, does it? You can't tell your child, be good, tell the truth, and then you can't get on with your own family. You're fighting all the time, you're arguing all the time. For example, this is why there's a story of Shaykh Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. And as a child, a very famous story, the famous Hanbali and scholar, and also the founder of the Qadiri way in spirituality. He, as a child, was told by his mother not to lie. Now, obviously, his mother must have been a very good example, because she sends him off to Baghdad for him to learn. And their caravan is attacked by highway robbers. And basically saying, "Where's your money? Give me your money." They come to him, "Where's your money?" He goes, "It's sewn in my garment." A very odd thing to say. If your money's hidden, why would you give it to him? So they take him to the leader of the highway robbers, and they said, "This boy says that he's got money and it's sewn." So he goes, "Okay, undo it." And lo and behold, there's money there. And he says, "Why did you tell me when you could have just kept quiet and we wouldn't have discovered this?" He said, "Because my mother told me never to tell a lie." At that point, he started to cry. The leader of the robbers started to cry, and he done tawbah. He done tawbah, he repented, and his entire gang also repented. This was the first kind of impact he had as a child. I mean, he goes on to have huge impact in Baghdad and so on. And even in the life of Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, had a connection to Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani. So when we talk about Salahuddin to Jerusalem, it didn't happen without Tarbiyyah. It happened with Tarbiyyah. If it wasn't for the likes of Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, Salahuddin al-Ayyubi would not be the person he was, and he would not be able to do what he did. Right? So it comes back to Tarbiyyah. There's this story of Surah Muzammil is about the Tahajjud prayer, and what happens is the child goes, probably like summer school, goes 5 or 6 years old, goes and learns the tafsir of Surah Muzammil in class, comes home and says, Dad, the Prophet used to pray Tahajjud. He goes, "Yes, son, I know." He goes, "But I never see you pray." He says, "Where's the Prophet, the best of people, we're just like normal people, they can do it, we can't do it, we're masakin, we're weak, the usual." Right? He goes, "Okay." So he goes back and he learns a bit more, and he goes, "Dad, it wasn't just the Prophet, some of the Sahaba used to do it as well. Walladina ma'ak. They were doing it as well." He says, "The Sahaba, they're the best of people after the Prophets, we're just masakin, we're like nothing, blah, 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 blah." So the son says, he's only 5, 6 years old, he says, "Dad, if we can't follow the example of the Prophet and we can't follow the example of the Sahaba, who are we supposed to follow?" The father says, "SubhanAllah, I don't know what to say now. He stumped me." So the father started to pray Tahajjud because of the son. You see? So children, they're very black and white, as you know. They tell the truth. Sometimes when you don't want them to tell the truth, like if they say, "What's wrong with that man?" You're like, quiet in public. Yeah. But the thing is, they're innocent. They say what's in their heart, and they see everything very clearly. They see hypocrisy. So if we want the best children, then we have to lead by example. And one of the things I would say that when we are giving Tarbiyyah, the Tarbiyyah should always be synced with love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Too many of us have learnt our connection to the deen from our early years has been through fear. Why do you have to learn your Quran? Because if I don't, the Imam will beat me up. Thankfully the laws have changed now, but if you're old enough, like my generation, you still have wonderful memories which are still with us. In fact, I was talking to somebody who said because of the experience of learning at such a young age, it put him off Islam for like 20, 30 years of his life, and he eventually came back to an adulthood because he was taught with force. And so what happens if you teach someone with fear, as soon as when they're young, they've got no power, they have to do it. As they get older, no more, I don't have to do this anymore. Because the reason they were doing it is because they were afraid. They're no longer afraid. But if you did it with love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do this because Allah loves it, and Allah will love you if you do this. Don't do it for me. Don't do it because you're teacher. Do it because Allah has given, talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your creator. He gave you your eyes, gave you ears, gave you all this food. Look at this food, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at what's happening in the world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has looked after you. Make him love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make him love the deen, make him love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you put love in the child's heart, when they get older, they will continue to do it. Why? because they want to do it, because they love to do it. You know, when somebody enjoys something, sports or whatever, do you have to say, "Oh, go and do your sports"? No, they just run off and do it because they want to do it. That is the key. We need to change that. So it should not be through fear. It should be through love, and therefore also we need to be a bit more easygoing when it comes to encouraging them to do things. Like Salah, we know the hadith about at 7 years old and at 10 years old. We know that, right? However, make it easy for them. If you want them to pray in Jama'at and you know you've got young children, don't start reading Surah Baqarah, right? Read a really small surah and sometimes read a surah that they know. So when you read the Salah, they're like, "Oh, I know that surah." Right? Make it easy, don't make it too difficult. If they just want to do the basics, let them do the basics. Don't get, you know, you have to read this many sunnah and this many nawafil and all the rest of it, because it makes it too burdensome. Once they have to do it, when they become older, go through puberty, they'll have to do it anyway. But you want to make the connection, the initial connection, a good connection, because whatever happens when you're young, it stays with you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillah.